Tonight, the nation watches election night is just around the corner. How each of the candidates make a final campaign push, and the president threatens to remove the nation's top disease expert post-election.
SUNY Oswego will test all of its students before Thanksgiving break, per the SUNY system mandate. How the quick turn in tests could keep positive students on campus for Thanksgiving.
And the first snowfall of the season here in Oswego. Our meteorologist Bethany Strong will have more key weather changes ahead.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Danny Hernandez.
And I'm Brianna Lynn.
In less than 24 hours, the country will witness a potentially historic election night. An already polarized political climate is causing stress amid a surge in ballots that will likely delay election results in the continually evolving coronavirus pandemic.
Current polling showed Joe Biden leading the polls in key battleground states, including Pennsylvania and Arizona, but the polls remain tight and show Biden shrinking in Pennsylvania. President Trump suggested his lower numbers are a result of what he calls shy voters who will support him.
We have a lot of people that say, we don't want to talk to you, and then they go vote for Trump, right? You know, the hidden voter or whatever they call them. Somebody said they're the shy voters. My people are not shy. They're not shy.
Fired Dr. Anthony Fauci. SUNY Oswego President Deborah Stanley sent an email asking the campus community to, quote, make sure SUNY Oswego is are assigned to vote at Laker Hall between noon and 6 p.m. The Verano Campus Center is not a polling place this year. If you need transportation, the Central Green Route will be making continuous stops at Laker Hall.
Also, be sure to tune in to WTOP 10's coverage of election night tomorrow night at 9 p.m., hosted by myself and Stephanie Shoiko. We will discuss results as they come in and tell local stories of the election process here in Oswego.
SUNY Cortland will stay fully remote 3 days before their second 2-week shutdown was supposed to end. Cortland first switched to remote learning on October 7th, when the campus reached the threshold of 100 cases in 2 weeks. The university has nearly 600 positive cases of COVID-19 to date and will allow students to go home early if they test negative for the virus.
Oswego is requiring students to take 2 or more COVID tests before returning home for Thanksgiving in response to the SUNY mandate. The first round of tests will be conducted next week on the 12th through the 16th, and the second on the week of the 16th through the 20th. According to the state mandate, if any student tests positive, they must stay in quarantine on campus during Thanksgiving break. To schedule a COVID test, go to tickets.oswego.edu.
Onondaga County reported 61 new cases of COVID-19 today, a decline in new cases since 99 were reported this past Friday, a record high for the county. County Executive Ryan McMillan says he is cautiously optimistic, but still does not know if the county is almost done with one of its worst COVID-19 cycles. No new deaths were reported in Onondaga County today.
Boone's Tavern in Manlius was fined $1,000 this past weekend for allowing customers to play darts in the bar. State health officials say they are banning bar games such as darts and pools because they do not promote social distancing. The owner says he will dispute the fine because he did not know about the rule and feels it is unfair.
Holiday shopping season will look a little different this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, so retailers recommend shopping early and shopping a little different.
From small shops to big stores, retailers are getting ready for the holiday shopping season.
They've been preparing for this holiday season, I believe, since the time they realized this was not going to be a normal year.
The National Retail Federation is urging Americans to shop safe, early, and often.
These retailers, and especially these small local retailers on main streets across America, are really needing your help right now. So getting out there, buying now, getting that checklist done, you don't have to worry about that later on.
According to their annual survey, the NRF is expecting consumers to spend slightly less on gifts than last year, but shell out a little more for decorations for a total just under $1,000.
The inventory is there. They are offering the discounts and the prices that people want to pay. And our research has shown that people will shop early.
Recent retail sales have made the NRF hopeful that it will be a strong holiday shopping season.
People want the shopping experience. They have been forced to basically stay home. They want to get out and enjoy and partake in something they've known all of their lives.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The National Retail Foundation expects online sales to be higher this year due to changes in consumer habits amid the pandemic.
The state will fund over $328 million to help New Yorkers heat their homes this winter. Governor Cuomo says the Home Energy Assist program will help low and middle class families pay for heat based on factors such as income and household size. Eligible families can receive up to $741. The Home Energy Assist program is currently accepting applications over the phone.
Temporarily closed a portion of Route 481 in Volney earlier this evening. New York State Police, Mentor Ambulance, and Volney Fire Department are now clear of the scene, and 481 is now open, but the CSX train line that runs through the crash scene will be closed until further notice.
A bus crash in Tully today injured at least 2 people, one of whom is a 5-year-old student. The crash took place around 7:30 a.m. when the bus driver lost control of his vehicle. The 2 passengers who were injured were brought to a hospital and suffered minor injuries. Coming up, a shooting in Vienna leaves 1 dead and many others injured.
President Trump and former Vice President Biden are doing some last-minute campaigning before Election Day tomorrow.
But first, Bethany, do we have any more snow on?
Well, guys, as you can see here, we had quite a snowy event today with a dusting across campus. And as this car pulls in, you can see that it's covered and we need a slight bit of our snow brush to help us out tonight as we got this nice photo finish kind of picture, with the dusting across campus. Now looking at our sunset camera right now, we didn't really have a sunset tonight. You can see evidence of that light dusting across campus, and it will continue on into tonight. Which brings us into our watches and warnings for tonight. A lakeshore flood warning, a wind advisory, lake effect snow warning, and a gale warning for Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. Tune in after the break for your full forecast and what to expect as far as precipitation for the rest of the week. Welcome back from the break. Let's break down those watches and warnings we talked about before. With our lakeshore flood warning, that's for Oswego, Cayuga, and Jefferson County. A wind advisory for areas bordering the Great Lakes, and a lake effect warning, which will see Oswego and Jefferson and Lewis counties, and a gale warning for Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. Now looking at our current temperatures, you can see it's actually warmer closer to the lake with Oswego at around 40 degrees, Rochester 36, and as we move down into Syracuse, 35. Around 35 for our temperatures. Now looking at our current winds, you can see that high wind warning in effect with Oswego at 43, Rochester 43, and then as we move further in, Syracuse around 38 miles per hour. Looking at our future cast for tonight, you can see that snow we saw today slowly breaking up and going into a mixed precipitation late tonight, and then transferring into a rain tomorrow, and then slowly pushing down into central New York. And with that, we'll bring a light rain mist into tomorrow and across the state, which we don't necessarily see here on our model, but it will happen. Now with that expected, we're going to have that light snow around Lake Ontario, and then with that, we're going to have a high snow event around 4 to 7 inches of snow for upstate New York, which brings us to tonight's forecast, cloudy and rainy with temperatures above freezing, and into tomorrow, that rain conditions with winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. And going into our 7-day, we're going to clear up and have actually temperatures above 60 degrees. So we won't see those snow conditions for the remainder of the week, and it's actually going to clear up to partly cloudy skies. Tune in after the break for more news and sports.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. A shooting in Vienna killed 1 person and injured 15 others at 8 p.m. local time. The shooting took place at 6 different locations in the center of the city, with one location being cafe and restaurants around Vienna's main synagogue. Authorities recommend people stay home, and the nation's interior ministry says they believe this is an apparent terrorist attack. The incident took place just hours before the nation enforced new restrictions to slow the spread of COVID-19.
COVID-19 cases are rising around the world, and European countries are adding more restrictions to slow the spread of the virus. International correspondent Tomas Rodriguez has more.
Thank you, Danny. As cases continue to spike in all of Europe, the region has now surpassed the 11 million case mark and 285,000 deaths. The European countries where COVID-19 cases are progressing the most are France, Italy, the United Kingdom, and Poland, in that order. England will enter a series of harsh restrictions on Thursday, where gyms, restaurants, bars, and others will have to close. Here in Spain, the health ministry reported just over 55,000 new cases since Friday. Also note that the health ministry does not report the new numbers over the weekend. However, in spite of the reported numbers, and in light of the state of emergency approved late October by Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, the government cannot enact a harsh confinement as they did back in March. While a confinement cannot be approved, a midnight curfew extending until 6 in the morning was approved by all of Spain last week, similar to that of France. Meanwhile, in Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that hospitals are now facing an acute emergency phase. The nation has already closed gyms, museums, bars, and suspended cultural activities. Anti-vaxxers took to the streets in Berlin last Monday to call for an end to the restrictions. Italy has seen violent protests and clashes in the streets over the past week as the government there enacted a series of measures, including a 6 p.m. curfew. Belgium also announced a new lockdown last Friday. The new restrictions have forced non-essential businesses to close while school holidays will extend through November 15. Only one visitor will be allowed in Belgian homes, and pods are now limited to 4. Brianna, Danny, back to you.
Thank you for the update, Tomas. We will continue to follow Europe's handling of the coronavirus and provide more information as the story develops.
With the presidential election only 1 day away, President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are neck to neck in their final days of campaigning.
It's the final push for the White House.
Hello, Wisconsin. We're back. We're back. We're going to win.
It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home.
Democratic nominee Joe Biden and President Trump packing the punches on the eve of the election.
Tomorrow, we can put an end to a president that has failed to protect this nation. And tomorrow, we can put an end to a president that has fanned the flames of hate all across this country.
Under my leadership, our economy is now growing at the fastest rate ever recorded.
President Trump hitting up 4 battleground states for 5 rallies, ending in Michigan, beginning in North Carolina.
Obama, he went out yesterday with Biden. They got like 14 people. They didn't have too many. They didn't have too good a crowd. And we have 5 of these today, 5.
Both candidates making stops in the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania. Biden spending most of the day reaching out to voters in the state with his vice presidential pick, Kamala Harris, after campaigning earlier in Cleveland, Ohio.
On the one hand, we're facing the biggest threat of who we are, what we believe, and what we've seen, what we've been in our lifetimes. On the other hand, our future has never been more promising.
Once again, here at WTOP 10, Danny and Stephanie Stoico will be covering the presidential election tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Be sure to tune in.
Services Uber and Lyft are offering discounts on rides to polling locations tomorrow. Lyft is offering half-off rides up to $10 to any polling place or drop box using the code 2020VOTE. Meanwhile, Uber is offering half-off round-trip rides to and from polling locations up to $7 each way, or $14 round-trip.
Aren't the only means of cheaper or even free rides to the polling places tomorrow. That's right, Hertz is offering free rental vehicles this election day, calling the program Drive the Vote. If a person needs to rent a car to vote, they can start for 2 or more days. The program started today and will last through the election day.
A new line just for adults. The line will feature appealing grown-up scents such as overpriced latte and mom jeans. With appetizing smells like Grill King, the Play-Doh is now fun to play with for adults, but still not to eat. The new Play-Doh line can be bought in a 6-pack at Walmart or Amazon for $12.
Still on the rise, CLOROX is seeing a boost in sales yet again. CLOROX reported their big earnings for its fiscal first quarter today. The company's overall sales went up 27% from a year ago. The shares of CLOROX rose 4%, while the stock itself is now up more than 35% this year. Additionally, there is a double-digit increase in 8 of its 10 business units.
Let's take a quick look at sports with Brian Rudman.
Thank you, Danny. Coming up after the break, I'll take you through a crazy weekend in sports all across New York State, including new ownership in Queens and Week 8 updates all over the NFL. All this and more coming up after the break. You're watching WTOP 10 Nightly News. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Brian Rudman with your Monday Night Sports Report. We've got a ton to cover, so let's jump right in. Starting with the Syracuse Orange, their rough 2020 campaign continued on Saturday afternoon in the Dome as the Orange fell to Wake Forest 38-14. Syracuse struggled in all facets of the game, being outgained by 217 yards and turning the ball over on 3 separate occasions. With the loss, Dino Babers' squad falls to 1-6 on the season and extend their losing streak to 4 games. The Orange will return to action this Saturday when they play host to 4-3 Boston College. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. Quickly now to the Diamond, as Mets fans had a busy weekend watching their team. Friday afternoon, the MLB owners approved Steve Cohen's purchase of the New York Mets. Cohen, a billionaire hedge fund manager, purchased the team from the Wilpon family for a figure reported to be somewhere between $2.4 and $2.5 billion. Cohen's ownership group got to work quickly as the team extended a qualifying offer to top free agent pitcher Marcus Stroman yesterday before the deadline to do so. The qualifying offer is valued at $18.9 million for 1 year. If Stroman declines the offer and signs with another team, the Mets would be entitled to a compensation draft pick. From the Mets to the Jets, Jets fans did not have as exciting a weekend as the team traveled to Kansas City to face off with the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs. Gang Green was once again unable to get into the win column as they fell 35-9. New York was shut out in the second half for the second week in a row as well. One of the highlights of the week came from Patrick Mahomes as he threw for 5 touchdowns in this one game. Meanwhile, Jets quarterbacks have thrown for just 4 touchdowns the entire season. Now at 0-8, the Jets will have their next crack at it next Monday night when they host division rival the New England Patriots. Speaking of Monday Night Football, an interesting matchup tonight as Tom Brady leads his new team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, up against the New York Giants. The Bucs came into the game at 5-2, while Big Blue came in at just 1-6. As things currently stand, it's 14-3 Giants. Daniel Jones kicked off the scoring for Big Blue with a touchdown beyond Lewis. Now, while his new team is playing right now, yesterday, Brady's old team, the Patriots, traveled to Buffalo to take on the first-place Bills. Let's take a look at how things went there.
Bills looking for their first win at home against the Patriots since 2011. The Patriots looking for a bounce back after last week. It would start off well for the Bills, so first and goal, and Zach Moss going to power his way into the end zone for the touchdown, 7-0 Bills. Patriots will get a field goal now, 7-3, but Josh Allen makes a big mistake in the 2-minute drill, J.C. Jackson picks him off, and Jackson's going to run it all the way back to the 40. That would set up a Patriots field goal before the half. It's 7-6. Bills trying to get back on track, though. Now Josh Allen, all the time in the world, in the pocket, finds Stephon Diggs across the middle. Diggs weaving his way in and out of traffic. He's going to push himself all the way down to the 4-yard line, setting up this 1st and goal. Zach Moss, he's going to get a chance at another one, and he's going to take advantage. Cuts it back, puts his shoulder down, and the Bills push the pile all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, it's 14-6. Patriots wouldn't go down without a fight, though. Damian Harris takes the handoff, makes the safety miss, and he's into the end zone after a 2-point conversion. It would be all tied up. Teams will go back and forth in the 4th quarter. It's now 24-21, less than 40 seconds to go, and Cam Newton fumbles in the red zone, and the Bills recover, icing the game. They win 24-21. The Bills move to 6-2 on the season.
Thanks, Brian. Bethany, can we have a final weather check?
Of course, our expected 24-hour snowfall, as I mentioned before, we have a high snowfall event, 4 inches to 7 inches. So I just want you to keep in mind to be careful driving in these hazardous conditions. If you don't need to go outside, please don't. There's going to be some high winds with this snowfall event, so keep that in mind. And as we prepare for our snowy season, make sure to have a snow brush handy, your shovel ready, and salt for your driveway. Back to you guys.
Wow. So today was the first snowfall. I don't know about you guys, but I get excited about the first snowfall. I think it's so pretty. But when we get to like January or March, I don't like it as much. But how do you guys feel about that, Brian?
I would say the same thing. Always nice to see the first snowfall, but it gets old by February.
It's pretty to
Yeah,
look
same
at,
here.
but the worst to drive in.
Yes. I like a good Christmas snow.
Me too.
Definitely. Well, that's all we have. So see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. for WTOP's election show.
Thank you for watching WTOP 10 Nightly News. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you go out and vote.